All right, let's talk about a bedding solution that could totally revolutionize your goat management routine. It's called the deep litter method, and trust me, it promises a lot less work for you and a much healthier, happier environment for your goats. If you're a goat owner, you know the drill, right? The constant mucking out, the heavy wheelbarrows, that never-ending cycle of cleaning. It's got to be one of the biggest chores on the homestead. But what if I told you there was a better, much more natural way to handle it?
Well, that's exactly where the deep litter method comes in. And look, this is way more than just a way to save your back. It's a brilliant system that actually puts biology to work for you. You'll slash your daily labor while creating a cleaner, drier, and just all-around healthier space for your herd.
Okay, so to make this system work, you've got to start it correctly. A strong foundation is absolutely key, but don't you worry, the setup is incredibly simple.
It really all boils down to these 3 simple steps. First things first, you need a completely clean floor to begin. And this can be anything from concrete to just well-draining earth. Then, you'll pick your bedding material, and finally, you'll spread out your base layer.
So what's the best bedding to use? Well, wood shavings or straw are your top choices. A lot of people find that a combination of the two works brilliantly, because you get both the absorbency of the shavings and the nice fluffiness of the straw. And you really can't skimp on this initial layer. You need a solid 4 to 6 inches to properly kickstart the composting process, which is really the heart of this entire system. This is your foundation.
Now, whatever you choose, please make sure it's clean. Dusty or moldy materials are a huge no-go. They can cause some serious respiratory problems for your goats, which completely undermines the health benefits we're even trying to achieve here.
So, with your base all set up, we can move on to the daily routine. And this is where you'll really start to see the beauty and the simplicity of the deep litter method.
So forget all that daily scooping and heavy lifting. With the deep litter method, your main daily chore is just adding a thin layer of fresh bedding right on top. It's a fundamental shift from constant removal to simple addition.
And you really don't need much. Just 1 to 2 inches of fresh bedding each day is usually enough. You'll want to focus on any soiled or wet spots to keep the surface that your goats are living on clean, dry, and comfortable. So what's happening underneath all these layers? Well, this is the magic part. You are essentially building a giant, slow-moving compost pile right there in your barn. The layers of bedding and goat manure begin to break down, working with nature's own incredible decomposition process.
And this natural process has some amazing benefits. That composting action generates a gentle, natural heat, which helps keep your goats warm in cold weather. It also actively wicks moisture down, away from the surface, creating a dry base that discourages the bacteria and parasites that just love damp conditions.
Now, this is a low-maintenance system for sure, but it's not a no-maintenance one. You still need to keep an eye on things just to make sure the environment stays healthy and balanced. You might run into a few common issues, but believe me, the fixes are simple. If the surface feels damp, just add bedding a little more often. Noticing a strong ammonia smell? That's your cue to add more bedding and double-check your ventilation. And if the bedding gets kind of compacted, just grab a pitchfork and fluff it up to get air moving through the system again. Easy peasy. Your success with this whole method really hinges on 3 key factors. First, don't be stingy with your bedding. It is your #1 tool. Second, good airflow is absolutely non-negotiable for managing moisture and odors. And finally, a shelter with good drainage is essential to prevent the bottom layers from turning into a swamp.
So, after weeks or even months of layering, the time will come for the big cleanout. But instead of a chore, I really want you to think of this as harvesting a reward for all your good work.
A typical cycle lasts about 4 to 6 weeks, but this can really vary depending on your herd size. Some people prefer to do a full cleanout just once or twice a year, with the seasons. You know, the system's flexible. And here it is, the payoff. When you finally muck everything out, you're not dealing with messy, wet waste. You'll have piles of rich, dark, earthy compost. We're talking absolute gold for your garden, your pastures, or your fields. You've turned a waste product into an incredibly valuable resource. So, are you ready to stop fighting against manure and start working with it? The deep litter method offers less daily work, healthier animals, and a valuable end product. It truly is a way to turn your goat waste into pure garden gold.